Hi there. So I'm just going to explain how I plan a lesson using PowerPoint, and then how I post that and publish it on the platform. Okay, so I use a basic template here, which is one that I use for this particular course, which is English for Teachers. This is a C2 level course, so it's quite a high level. Notice on the first slide, I will put on the title plus a little bit about the content. Here it's really about accuracy. So what I want people to do is be able to express themselves very well. This is not one particular skill. This class has different skills on it. Okay, so we've come from, prior to this, we would have seen a review for class 21, where we have seen what people did before, how they did their written essays, and how their homework, and how I had corrected that, and maybe a little kind of listening exercise or speaking activity. So we start this is 1 hour, this class. You'll see that it's actually quite long. So I tend to put in an extra activity. So if something doesn't work, I can just skip it and go on. But most of them are kind of one size fits all. So they can be adapted to different levels. They can be shortened or lengthened. Okay, so we're talking about accuracy here. To begin with, I give them a kind of brainstorming activity. So we're talking about listening, and I'm saying, how many synonyms can you think of for to listen or to hear? Now, I normally put in a title with blue lettering, and when there's a task to be completed, I use this dark red lettering. Okay, so I will ask them just to put forward to me, either in the chat box if I want them to practice their spelling, or just tell me, vocabulary which are synonyms for listening, or to listen or to hear. When they've exhausted their ideas, I then show them some other words. So to listen in, to eavesdrop, to bend an ear, to bug, to auscult, to overhear, to be all ears, and so on. And I'll ask them to try and discern what's the difference, and it's a little bit of discussion there. Okay. So first one's about 5 minutes of brainstorming, another 5 minutes here to explain the different words. And then we go on to this, which is listening for them, which is a short video about active listening. I would ask them before, what kind of things do you think we're going to see? This video is about 2 minutes long, and it's animated. Have two ways of doing this. I can actually come up on the PowerPoint menu, and where it says insert, I can go across to the right where it says insert media, and I can insert a video. If it says online video, that will open a box, and I can copy the link to a YouTube video there. Once I've done that, you will see the icon or the screenshot to the video. So actually, to play the video back to them, you can either open that link, which I've got there, the YouTube link, or you can click on the video. That depends on your computer and your version of PowerPoint. After watching that for a minute or so, I think it's 2 minutes, then we might discuss when would this be important. So a lot of oral work, a lot of discussion with the students going on now. Okay, what else could we include in our active listening? This is somewhat longer, this video. It's about 5 minutes, but it has some great vocabulary. After they've watched this, then I'm going to ask them to focus on the three parts below, which say listen, retain, and respond, which are three of the keys to active listening. I'm going to put that in there in blue, and ask them why that's important. It's really to see what they can recall from this video and the video before. So it's something, again, we'll be talking for a few minutes. Then coming in specifically, active listening. Can you summarize the most important points in less than 80 words? This means, bang, I'm going to ask them to do a 10-minute intensive writing exercise, which is to summarize this. They can do it on a Word document on the computer and then paste it into the chat box so we can all see it. I prefer to keep everything within the Zoom meeting. That means I don't really like using Wordlet or Word Wall, which would mean going outside, opening another browser. And if they're working on a smaller screen, you know, it can be confusing. How do they get back into Zoom sometimes? Okay, so we go over that, really looking for accuracy, good writing. This would work at any level after a short video. I then go on to this idea of a school for families. Okay, school for families, where we're saying one of the most difficult jobs in the world is being a parent, yet there is little or no training. Suggest some topics or issues which might be discussed. Again, they contribute their ideas. Subjects, what could this be? Drug use, you know, healthy living, keeping a timetable, absence from school. I guess it could be a whole lot of stuff. So I might put them into breakout rooms actually now, winging it a little bit. I'll put them into breakout rooms right now and ask them to come up with 4 or 5 ideas for a school for families. All right, come back and then make a list. Then I would say, okay, this is some of the ideas that we had thought of, and we might want to discuss how and why, if we want to, if there's time, if there's interest. I like these kind of activities because it does work on ideas which are coming from the students. They're being consolidated by seeing them on a table. And, you know, if we see there's some kind of motivation, then we take it forward and we discuss it. To be honest, we could stop the class now. That might be an hour's worth. But, you know, if we want a kind of bonus track, we might go on to our next part. Okay, I'm going to ask them now to describe events and things. They've heard the videos before and they've heard presenting English. In this case, we've got C2 students, so they should be quite articulate when it comes to speaking English, and they should be able to use different speaking strategies. So I'm going to give them something very, very abstract to describe. Okay, we've got 8 different situations. They will choose 2. So if we've got 4 or 8 students in the group, that's great. They can choose 1. If we've got 4, sorry, they could choose 2. And I'll ask them to prepare a short presentation, short oral presentation on one, and a short written account on the other, time permitting. Okay, they take one. I will give them 90 seconds to prepare their little presentation, and then they will come back and give us that presentation. So that is good exam practice, because there's always a part in all exams from B2 onwards, definitely, where the students have to give some kind of formal presentation on something, even if it's just describing a photograph. So we watch those together, which is good. And as a kind of, extra task at the end, remember, students always like to get their value for money. They like to see there's a lot of stuff, in the presentation. Might not get around to doing this, but if you do have 5 minutes, okay, accuracy, what's the task? This is a standard error correction one. So you might want to let the students read through it for 5 minutes, identify which lines there are mistakes, okay? And then go over it with them. Always good practice. As you can see in line 0, that the work is the mistake. And so I've highlighted that in line 00, there's no mistakes, so they can see the difference. So just go down lines 1 to 15, fast as possible, see if they can spot the mistakes, give them 4 or 5 minutes, and then go over it with them. Obviously, as with all your online and face-to-face classes, you need to have looked at this yourself, okay? Right, then finally, I'm going to give them a video. This is an interesting video, actually. Well, doesn't really matter what it is. It's just something to watch at home. It's actually about young people and mental health. It's about 6 minutes long, which is enough for most of them. And then I've given them a C2 writing activity to do at home. And that's the class. This is about an hour and a half's worth. So I can pick and choose. Well, I'm lucky because I know the students, I've done this before, but this is the kind of format. This is what we would be looking at, let's say, for one session in a B1, B2 online course. If you were doing, if you had a whole morning with a particular group, 2 of these would be enough. 2 of these would be enough. So that means if you had a 4-hour class with half an hour break, so this is going to be enough for you once you've done a little bit of kind of ice breaking and how you're doing, and let's start the video or let's start our session. Okay. What I do now is I go up to top right, file and save. I'm going to save this onto my computer, and I'm going to save it as a PDF file, standard. That's published. That is now PDF. So I've got the PDF on my desktop. So what we're going to do now is to go onto my website, which you will see here. This is the platform we're using at the moment. I'm going to go on there with my username and password, and I'm going to log in. I'm going to log in as a teacher. I am here, and on the left, I can see it says cursos. It's in Spanish, unfortunately. When it says cursos, I can see the different courses which I am giving. English for Teachers, English Comunicativo, Negotiating and Technical English, Nuevas Destrezas, Oxford English B2, Professional Communicative English. This is English for Teachers. So I click on there. I go down. And what I want to do is editar contenidos. So I editar contenidos. At the moment, I have 21 units, as you can see on the left. I'm going to go to Nuevo Contenido y Nuevo Tema. This tema I'm going to call Unit 22, and we called it Correction and Practice. It doesn't really matter what you call it, but you call it whatever you like. Crear tema. That is open. There is nothing inside it. Okay. What you're seeing there is number 1. If I go to number 22, there's nothing in there. So I need again to come in here and to Nuevo Contenido. What I'm going to do here is upload a PDF. The title of the activity is Unit 22, Correction and Practice. And I need to put that in Unit 22. Is it optional? It's not, but don't worry too much about that. I'm going to create this. The students have asked me for benchmarking. So I'm going to make sure they spend at least 10 minutes after the lesson looking through the presentation. So I've created that. It's not optional. And it says seleccione archivo a cargar. Choose. I'm going to go to my desktop and see English for Teachers, BK Online, English for Teachers 22. That's my document. Open, and that will be uploaded. I prefer to keep it in horizontal. Doesn't really matter. And guardar. That's saved. It says okay. And this presentation is now online so that the students can look at it, see what they've done. And if they want to download it, they can do that as well. I now go back and go new content. Well, there was a video in that. So I'm going to add that video, and it says Unit 22, Correction and Practice. You can call it whatever you like. I'm going to call it Young People Speak Out, for example. I like that, okay? It's going to be in Unit 22. This is optional. And it's going to ask me here. It's a video, it's a YouTube video. So all I have to do here is copy the link. There we go. And this is what they'll see. They can only see this online, which is fantastic. It means there's more content. Ideally, C1 level, 1 video a day is enough. B2, 1 video a day, a short video about anything you like. It can be something funny, not so funny, doesn't really matter, you know, whatever you like, as long as it's not some idiot gamer or influencer talking crap, okay? I'm also going to add here where it says Nuevo Contenido, Ejercicio Desarrollo, and I'm going to call it Unit 22, Writing. Evaluable means they get a mark for it. So, tiempo mínimo, I'm going to give them 20 minutes. I want them to spend 20 minutes minimum. Actually, I want them to do this because it's 280 to 300 words. So there we are. I'm going to copy. I have the title there, which I put in the box, which says, which is the same as in their unit, which they've seen during the lesson. You're looking through the alumni newsletter of a school that you once attended, and you see the following announcement. What are your best and worst school memories? Write in and tell us, and we will publish the most interesting articles for our next newsletter. Okay, we know that at C2, which is proficiency, it's 280 to 320 words. Fine, now write your letter. They write it in here. This comes through to me. I'll show you in a minute in my inbox, and I will mark it. So for the kids, we're coming up in Semana Santa, there's no homework at all. All you're going to do is publish the work you've been doing in PDF format. You can send it to me and I will upload it if you like, okay? I will upload it and so the kids have access to it, but there's no homework. For the adults, that's the B1, B2 course, then we are going to have online activities. They will be able to do 1 writing exercise per day. They're welcome to do that. If they don't do it, that's fine. This system or the platform will keep a record of their marks. Okay, this is to stop, emails being sent through or people doing writing exercises by WhatsApp and expecting them to be corrected and stuff like that. Okay, so I say guardar, okay, actividad. So that's it. So when the student has come in to Unit 22, they open it and see they have the presentation, a listening or video exercise, and a writing exercise. That's what the student sees, and the student will write their answer here. If I go back, and if I go right to the beginning, as a teacher, you can see that I have no debates. I have 58 messages, for goodness sake, okay? And I have 2 activities to correct. How do I correct activities? Well, let's see. This is the oldest one. This is from yesterday, from Regina Encinas. She had to write 200 to 250 words about, we want to know your views on how methods of communication have changed during your lifetime. What I will do is actually copy her entire answer, I've got a space down here where I can add comments. The process of communication is based on the transmission of information between two or more people. Human beings need to communicate since we are born until the day we are die. Okay, so I'm actually going to give her 65 out of 100. I think it's pretty good, but I will then go ahead and correct individual mistakes here. All right, and that basically is that. So the important thing is what I'm looking for you to do, which is the format. So I will send you content and I will send you format. But this is the kind of format, the clarity, the kind of typeface which we're thinking of using, and it should be very, very clear. Okay. So as I said, this is a 1 hour class. This was C2. There's probably an hour and a half's worth here. So you'd want to be looking at this kind of content 2 per day. Okay, remember you've got 2 groups. So that's half, isn't it? Anyway, we'll discuss that on Friday. Thanks a lot. Speak to you soon.